Welcome, everybody. It's 7:30. A lot happening in Washington right now. Healthcare, tax reform getting all the headlines. But one you may not have heard as much about is the fight to stop the opioid epidemic. It is it's a growing problem. One that has bipartisan support as well. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio is playing an active role in that fight against that substance abuse problem. And he joins us this morning from Washington to talk about it. Senator, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
You've introduced some new legislation that would reduce the flow of fentanyl from Mexico, China, and other countries that make its way into the U.S. Fentanyl, in case people don't know, the leading contributor to the opioid crisis. Where do you think is the first line of defense to stop it?
Well, the first line of defense is right there at those borders where it's coming in from abroad. Now, it's coming in from China in the mail. It's coming in from Mexico. They're just driving it across with trucks. And so this law that I have filed with Senator Markey of Massachusetts, as you said, is bipartisan. And what it does is it actually equips the Customs and Border Protection with a device, a machine that allows them to test right there in the field whether or not the substance that they're dealing with is an opioid, and in particular fentanyl. Carfentanil, which is basically elephant tranquilizer. Both of these are directly linked to the sharp spike in overdose deaths that we're seeing in Florida and across the country. So we're hoping we can get this done. I think that it is something that makes a lot of sense and should have support across the political spectrum, obviously.
Senator, I've done a few stories on this along the way and talked to law enforcement about it. I mean, we're talking about a substance that's 50 times more powerful than heroin, 100 times more powerful than morphine. I know the DEA has even issued guidelines to law enforcement on how to handle it. They've told the canines not to even get near it. It's that dangerous a substance, isn't it?
It is. It is. It comes across the skin, and so you're always concerned about people in the field being exposed to it. You know, fentanyl has a medical use. Doctors have been using it for a long time, usually around surgeries. But now this is the synthetic stuff that's being produced out of Mexico, and it's being packaged, and so people are buying it. And unlike something you would buy at a drugstore, you have no idea how much is in there. And so that's what's happening. People are using this stuff they're buying from a dealer, and it's got more than they think it has in it, or it has carfentanil, which is at any level is dangerous, and people are dying as a result of it. So hopefully we can stop the flow of this and save some lives here.
I know that Florida has not been central in all of this yet. I know it's been in other states, but I understand it's making its way here. What are you learning about how it's making its way into Florida?
Well, it's making, actually, Florida has had a big problem. The problem is Florida's so large, and we have so many other problems that it kind of gotten lost in the mix. You have some smaller states up in the Northeast and in Ohio where you have small communities that have been ravaged by it. But I don't think you can go to any major area of Florida right now. You go to any major city in Florida, any major metropolitan area, the Tampa Bay region, and every hospital, every law enforcement agency is going to tell you that they've seen an extraordinary spike in the number of overdoses. Sometimes the same people coming into the emergency room 3-4 times a week. So we are at an epidemic level in the state and across the country. We've got to deal with this, and one of the ways to deal with it is the supply. We still have to deal with making it easier for people to get into treatment, because if you are dependent on an opioid, you're not going to be able to get off it without medical treatment.
You mentioned bipartisan support. It's hard to find somebody who doesn't agree on we got to do something about this, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I think that I don't know of any state in the country that hasn't confronted this to some level. So, as I said, hopefully we can continue to make progress on it. And a lot of the solutions are coming from the local level, of course, but we need to do what we can here at the borders and at the federal level to, stem the flow and also to help people get into treatment.
Before I lose you, I want to ask you about something else, and I know it's something really important to you. There's a vote coming up at the OAS, the Organization of American States, about sanctions against Venezuela. You feel pretty strongly about this, don't you?
Yeah, so in Venezuela, democracy's been canceled. You have an elected body, a legislative body. The president there just ignores them. The Supreme Court has been intervened. The press can no longer function freely. There's no democracy left in Venezuela. The OAS is the collective organization in the Western Hemisphere of democracies. And it is the way we should be solving problems in the region in a forum like that. And if that kind of forum cannot come together to basically point out the fact in a resolution that Venezuela is no longer a democracy, then you start to wonder why we even have an OAS. But I'm confident, optimistically, I'm optimistic that, in fact, they're going to make the right decision here over the next few weeks.
Senator, always good to have you with us. Thanks for your time. Good luck with everything, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.